Hi, this is Travis from POSGuys.com. Today we're going to be covering Square and hooking up your printer and cash drawer to Square. So the Square app is standalone for connecting to your printer, and the Square stand works with USB either star printers or specific epson printers. All you need is the Star app. So a lot of people get confused and they'll download like Star SDKs or Epson SDKs. These can actually in fact make it so that your printer won't be detected by Square. So you don't need those apps. So if you have them, you can go ahead and uninstall them, or at least make sure that they're closed because they will interfere with Square stand. So going over to Square, once you launch the application, the stand will connect first. If you don't see the stand connected, that means that your stand probably doesn't have power or your iPad isn't seated incorrectly and the connection isn't good. So make sure it's connected to your Square stand. From there, in the bottom corner, you're going to see a blue box with a number. That's your settings. You go into settings, and then what you're going to want to do is to go to printers. What you're going to need to do is create a print station. Click the Create Print Station button. Under name, you're going to have to name this. So if you click name, then the iOS keyboard comes up, and we're going to call it new printer. And you can really name this whatever you want. And then under printer, you're going to select your USB printer. So in this case, I have the Star. And then if I run a print test, it prints out a little test receipt. So that's how you know it's working right there. From there, you just back out, click Save, and then you're going to want to find your print station, and you're going to want to use it. So I actually have a duplicate here. I'm going to turn this off, and then I'm going to go to the new print station and turn it on. And there, now it'll use that new print station. Switching over to an Epson printer, I have the T22 USB, and I have it plugged in already with its power and USB connection. If I go to that same printer station, and under printer, instead of having the Star being displayed, you'll see the Epson displayed now. If I select that and print a test, then I've now switched from a Star printer to an Epson printer. Note again that I didn't install any separate utilities. I just plugged the printer into the stand and let the software detect the printer. You don't need to use the Epson TM utility for that. If you're using an unsupported device, when you connect to the Square stand, you'll see a warning. It'll say USB device not supported. If you're seeing that, that means that printer is not currently in a mode that is supported by the Square stand, or that printer altogether isn't supported by the Square stand. We have a list on POSGuys.com that lists all the currently compatible printers. Make sure your printer is on that list. As far as plugging in your printer, there are 3 cables that will be plugged into your printer. They all go into the back of the printer. The first cable is going to be this power supply. The power supply is built into this printer, so it's going to be a single cable. That goes into the biggest port there. Then you have your standard USB cable. This is an A to B cable. So the end that's sort of like a trapezoid shape will go to your printer. And then the end that's like a rectangle will go into the Square stand. And you connect it by going to the power supply, and they have a USB splitter. You connect it to the splitter, and then the other end goes into the drawer. And your last optional cable is your cash drawer cable. So this is going to look something like a phone cable. One end goes into your cash drawer, and then the other end goes into your printer. If you're using a Star cash drawer, be very careful to make sure that the end marked printer goes to the printer and the end marked cash drawer goes to the cash drawer. If you flip it around, then it will not work. It'll look like the cash drawer won't open. Okay. Once you're done, you can power on your printer, and then it should be detected by the stand. Once your printer is set up, you can go ahead and test your cash drawer if you have that plugged into your printer. You go to the cash drawer button, and then you click Test Drawer, and your drawer will open. You can run that again. If you have a USB cash drawer, you will hook up the cash drawer cable directly to the stand. You wouldn't go through the printer. You can only use APG cash drawers at this time, and MMF or a POSGuys USB cash drawer will not work with Square Stand, APG only. So that's the basics for setting up your printer and cash drawer with Square. Remember, you don't need the utilities on that, and there's a list of compatible printers. You cannot get any printers outside of the compatible list. They just will not be detected by the stand. For Bluetooth or Ethernet setup, it's a little different. You're still going to use the same print station setup, but the connection will be required to be made outside of the software. You have to use pair with Bluetooth first, or you'll have to have your printer on the network successfully before it'll be seen by Square. With all printers purchased through POSGuys.com, our support team is there to help, so don't feel like you're alone. If you have Square and you have a printer purchased through POSGuys, please give our support team a call and they'll be happy to assist you. For more information on our products or to purchase, please visit us at POSGuys.com. Thanks.